I can tell you my story and experience healthy emotions. I can feel sad when I'm talking about the trauma I experienced and happy about my relief. My body is still responding. I know I'm okay, but then I still have physical reactions to things.
Hi, I'm Denise and I am a neuroencoding specialist and fertility life coach, and I am known as the Fertility Godmother. And I am excited today about my guest. We have Karissa Whitlatch. She is a licensed professional counselor, clinical supervisor, and perinatal mental health specialist with Made to Thrive Wellness. Karissa works with women navigating anxiety, trauma, and major life transitions, including pregnancy, postpartum, and emotional complexities that come with that season of life. Her approach is both in trauma informed and very holistic in helping clients reconnect with themselves, build resilience, and move towards real healing and transformation. Karissa, I'm so excited to have you. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited too. It's such a privilege to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. So, first, share with us what brought you into this line of work.
It's been kind of a long journey. I was a college athlete originally who got injured with 4 knee surgeries. So it started out in sports medicine, and then I was ready to kind of grow my own family. Sports medicine's amazing, but it was hard to kind of navigate it with trying to want to build a family. So that is ended up what landed me into mental health counseling, so I can kind of still support people, but also be able to adapt with my family and kids and be able to adjust a schedule that I could love them and adapt with them and throughout life.
Oh, amazing. And mental health, there's such a need right now, more than
Right.
ever. That's, I mean, what a shift. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful shift. It's interesting. We have a lot in common. I also started off in sports medicine,
Yeah.
and somehow I ended up, in fertility, just
You know,
guided.
yes.
It's
And all the
pretty.
neuroscience and everything, it's so beautiful how it still all weaves in and just kind of carries over just because you're working with the body in sports and you're working with the body throughout all different areas of life.
Yes, exactly. Which, since we're talking about the body, one of the things that I really love that you do is somatic therapy. Can you
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. So I'm certified in a modality called sensory motor psychotherapy. And essentially the idea behind it is to work with the body to kind of promote healing and integrate using the body to integrate emotions, to integrate our thoughts and memories that kind of get stuck. The idea is sometimes when life happens, we actually hold on to it physically, kind of like if there was a rock that gets thrown at your windshield. Like your brain knows there's a block there, but we'll still twitch and we'll still move out of the way because in the past, I have organized in my body that when a rock gets thrown at me, it'll hurt. So I need to react. So even if I have a protective barrier, I'm still going to react because I'm perceiving that I might be hurt. And so essentially, the goal in doing mental health by working with the body to organize upward is to work with those automatic responses that come up
Mm,
that then kind of then organize our emotions in our.
mm, interesting. So it's a body approach
It
then
is.
of for like the feelings that we have that
Mm-hmm.
create a reaction. Do you have an example of something that you can share to
Mm.
just elaborate a little bit more for our audience?
Yeah. So oftentimes when a client comes into my office, for example, and they've been struggling with a lot of anxiety, and oftentimes I'll ask them like, "Well, how do you experience that?" They'll often say something like, "My heart races." Or my muscles get tight, or my breathing gets rapid. And so, essentially, what we do in the therapy office is we kind of actually give ourselves space to slow down, notice those intimate details that come up. So they'll tell me a story about something that caused the anxiety and their heart will start racing. And it's like, well, how about, can we just slow down and stay with that, like heart racing? And oftentimes, very organically, when we give ourselves time to slow down, emotions will emerge, even memories will just naturally come up. Like, I remember, my gosh, that the reason why it makes me so anxious is I remember when I was a kid when my parents were yelling at me And all I did was say, how about we slow down and notice that heart rate?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's so true. I notice with myself and with a lot of the people that I work with, we're just always, on to the next thing, on to the next
On the
thing,
go,
on
yes.
the go. And, if we have to really make that conscious effort to reflect,
Mhm.
to pause, and then things will come up. So that's beautiful. I love that. I love that you're, tapping into the body
Yes.
and doing that. Awesome. Would you mind sharing with me one of your favorite client experiences or stories?
Oh my goodness. I have so many.
I bet you do.
Yes. I had somebody, and I thought it was wonderful how it was kind of naturally orchestrated as I was kind of going through this training. I had a client where her healing journey almost matched my training level in working with the body. She had originally come to me because a significant traumatic incident happened, and it caused her to be afraid of leaving her home and all different things. And so when she first came in, we just tried to slow down and just actually focus on working with all her body responses every time someone would knock on her door. And naturally, memories would come up, and we would try to calm that trauma response down by staying with it, me being supportive there. Sometimes, because of the way we store our trauma, usually what happens is our body wanted to do something in the moment but couldn't. Like, say I wanted to push somebody away, but I was not able to do that in the moment. Sometimes that'll manifest as tension in my arms. So, my job is to try to note those things, even though I don't know 100%, but just kind of have like a hypothesis running. And so her arms came up like this, and then I coached her to like push against either the wall or with the pillow against me. And then a memory came up from childhood where she was not able to do that either. And then immediate grief and relief came from that. Just from being able to have that experience of actually being able to push away something
Wow.
that she had wanted to do a long time ago but couldn't. And then I give her the opportunity to do that in my office.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then it just released and
Yeah. It almost like usually what I notice happens is very naturally a positive belief or positive something comes up. Like I did the best I could, or I deserved help at the time but I didn't have it, or I could protect myself now. But
mm,
that doesn't come from me.
right.
That comes from them. And then sometimes they'll say something to me like, "Oh my gosh, like, thank you for." I'm like, "That was all you. I was just here, just trying to be that safe, healing presence that gives the opportunity for them to have the healing by slowing down."
That's beautiful. You said it brings them like they'll have a different belief, so it'll help them change
Yeah.
that belief and then that pattern.
Yeah.
Amazing.
She was with me for probably about 6 months, doing these different things, meeting with me weekly. And there was a very specific trigger she would experience leaving her house. And one of the things she shared with me after doing this with me for a little while, she said that the trigger was there, it came up, but she didn't notice it. She
Hmm.
didn't realize it until like she got home that she was like, "Oh my gosh, that what normally triggered me popped up." But I didn't even notice it because it was no longer a physical reaction that led her to a panic attack.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, that was my hope, is that you can leave your house, and even if the trigger's there, you're okay.
That's life-changing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I know it's hard for the person I'm there supporting, but watching the healing organically happen is fun.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. You're right. It's challenging to look at ourselves and to face those things, but it's if we're willing to do that work, it can really be life-changing, right? What is one of the biggest mistakes that you see that your clients have made?
Not really a mistake, but maybe a challenge is it's kind of feels very vulnerable and scary to tap into the body.
Mm,
Because sometimes it feels like if I actually notice that, I might not be able to control it.
yeah.
And sometimes I've noticed that too, where I'll try to help somebody. It's like, it's okay. Like, I'm not scared of what's happening in your body. I know it's scary and it feels really scary right now. I'm not scared of it, and I'm willing to be here with you in it. And if for some reason something gets out of control, we'll navigate it at that point too. But I think I've noticed that's the biggest thing is when you actually slow down or try to pay attention to it, it can feel like it's scary because it is vulnerable, right? When we do regular talk therapy, I have more control over what I'm saying. I could decide what I want to say to this therapist, right? And so I understand it's a unique privilege to be present with someone who's willing to go into the body because it could sometimes feel like I can't hide that as easily. So it feels a little more vulnerable actually going there with somebody.
I love that distinction that you made. I think that's really amazing awareness and it's powerful. So, do you find that when you do somatic therapy that people can get results faster or they can move through things faster?
I think it depends on their presentation and what's going on with them because obviously there's a lot of great evidence based modalities out there. Like EMDR is wonderful.
Yeah.
CBT is great too, depending on the person's need. I've noticed quicker resolution for the more of the traumatic symptoms because I've even had people in the past who've done more talk therapy modalities, but their body is still responding. They're like, I know I'm okay. I can even tell you my story and experience healthy emotions. Like I can tell you I can feel sad when I'm talking about the trauma I experienced and happy about my relief. And so I could tell you my story, experience healthy emotions, but then I still have physical reactions to things. And so I love the phrase that sensory motor psychotherapy has. Their motto is when words aren't enough.
Hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes we do just need that added one more thing to try to help what's ever happening in the body know that I am safe. Even if I know it up here, everything is safe too.
That's great. Then this would be something that's really good for, just to kind of reiterate if I'm hearing it correctly, somebody that says like, "Oh, I can really intellectualize it." Like this is
Right,
something I'll say. I can intellectualize it, but I still feel this way. I still,
right,
right? Yeah,
right. Yeah, absolutely.
that's awesome. Okay, thank you.
It can be for someone who's been doing therapy for a long time and it's like, man, there's still something that's just not kicking it. Or they can even start off the plate with that too.
Great. Great. Tell me what makes you feel inspired in the work that you do?
I just really love being with people and just kind of hearing their stories. Like everyone has a unique story, and usually their experiences make sense when we understand the context of their experience. So for me, it's just really a privilege to be there and almost kind of walk through the journey with them to see it to where usually my I tell them my goal is for you not to see me at all. Right? My goal is for you to be able to live life and be like, "Hey, I can do this thing." Like even when hard times come because life's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies. Like even when hard times come, they feel like they have the ability and capacity to navigate it. And so that's usually my hope, and it's really fun to be able to see that. And every so often, usually around once a year or so, I'll just send out like an email or something to the people I've seen, just say, "How's life going?" Like just checking in to make sure everything's okay or if you need support. And I love when I get back, actually, I'm doing really good.
Yeah.
Like that to me, even if it's just like a thumbs up, like life's going great, I'm like, that's the hope, right? It's just feeling like I have the capacity to navigate life even when it's not easy.
Well, that is very inspiring.
Yeah.
Beautiful. This is kind of something you kind of talked about when we talked about the mistake, but is there anything else that people misunderstand about your profession?
I think sometimes it can be misunderstood, like, oh, they're just paying to go vent.
Mm,
Like, oh, I'm just going to therapy just to vent. It doesn't mean that venting doesn't have a place. Sometimes there can be a session or two where it's like, hey, you just literally need to vent. And I'm like, great. Like it's okay, it's cathartic, it has a space for it. But oftentimes the goal is for it to be intentional and purposeful and trying to figure out how do I find healing and move forward and kind of instead of being just kind of in this stuck where I'm just verbally dumping almost like a volcano where it just keeps coming, but it just stuck in this cycle that never stops.
right.
And the goal is to try to break the cycle, not continue it. So I feel like sometimes the misconception about mental health counseling can be like, oh, it's just a place to kind of verbally dump on somebody. And it's like, yes and no. If it's needed for like a session, I'm okay with that. or two, sometimes there's a place to just like dump my thoughts out and leave it. And I know that this person is safe and I don't have to worry about them going anywhere else with it. So I do think there's a space for it, but it's not supposed to be like that ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to actually get to the root of what's happening, why is this happening, and what is it that's within my control. Because sometimes there is a point where I've worked with somebody and we've done everything that's within their control, but there's stuff in their environment that needs to change. But it's actually like, okay, well, we've done everything on your end and you're doing all the things, you've done a lot of healing, you're moving forward, but then obviously there's still a circumstance because you're supposed to have negative reactions to negative circumstances. My goal isn't to help you feel great about something that's unhealthy. So if you're in a toxic work environment, we could have all the coping skills, but there should still feel something that feels wrong or feels like it's not settling. And so it's like, okay, at this point, it seems like it's the environment, right? And what do we need to change in the environment? Like, we've changed you the best that we can, but now something else needs to shift. So that's kind of like the goal in trying to support somebody go through and figure out what is it that is causing the struggles that I'm having right now. And sometimes it's kind of working through what everything I need to work through. And sometimes it's looking even outside of myself to figure out what's happening around me.
Yeah, that's great. I love that you said that because it is both. I mean, it starts with ourselves, right? What we can do, how we manage, how we respond. But it is sometimes our environment and having to make different choices to get out of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. I often see women who do a lot of this emotional work, but they still feel stuck or lost or unsure on what to do next. What do you do? How do you approach that?
Well, normally it's amazing what happens when you slow down. I know that sounds like, a drum that keeps getting beat, but if they come in and they just kind of feel stuck, we actually kind of try to figure out what is it that's making them feel stuck and actually try to figure out what that is and slow down and kind of break it down into smaller pieces. Because if we could actually figure out what is it behind that stuck feeling, then maybe we could actually start having a little bit of movement there. Or even maybe it's so hard because life is so hard, all I can see is that stuck point when there's actually more on both sides of it. But it's just hard to see it when it feels like life is overwhelming and all I can do is just see this. Can we expand our vision? Can we see around it? Is there actually options of hope or support? Because as humans, we're wired for support with other people.
Hmm.
So sometimes when we feel so overwhelmed, it's often we're very isolated too. And so we weren't meant to do life by ourselves. So the question is there something that right now I feel like a burden, so I don't want to reach out for support because I don't want to burden the people around me. Then we kind of figure out how can we do that in a healthy way that doesn't make it feel like you're just attaching to people, but we're supposed to support each other. You would do the same for them. Maybe this is a chance for them to do that for you and kind of looking outside of that stuff.
I agree. I think that's something a lot of us take on is we have to do this alone, or maybe there's some shame around things. Yeah. So, and having that community, and I think for men too, but I think especially for women, we need that friendship, that community that people we feel safe with.
Right, right.
I know you do a lot with helping with grief. And I have a lot of clients also that are going through that, the loss of the dream of having a baby or miscarriage. How do you help
Yeah.
people with that?
I feel like grief is something that's very frequently overlooked. It's almost kind of reserved for just a loss of a significant loved one, but it's really a dynamic experience. And how I support someone through grief is actually very different than I would help someone navigate like anxiety or depression. However, sometimes grief can manifest as anxiety or depression, but we just don't know that's grief. So I found sometimes when I'm working with somebody and the coping skills for anxiety, typical coping skills aren't working, or the things that you use with depression aren't working, then my assessing starts popping up and being like, huh, I wonder if there's something else here that I'm missing. And then that's typically where I might explore and see if there's maybe some grief happening that maybe I've been pushed down or is under the surface that's coming up as anger, that's coming up as anxiety, or that's causing me to shut down and be depressed. And oftentimes that's what's there. But how you navigate grief is very different than what you do with anxiety or depression. You can't really cope with grief. It's not something you just kind of cope with. Unfortunately, it's more of something you let yourself experience.
Mm.
And so I feel like often my role is trying to help my clients figure out where are they in that grief path or cycle, and how can we let ourselves experience grief in a healthy way that doesn't negatively impact the life that I have right now, relationships that I have.
So, what would that look like? Can you give us an example? Like, what would a healthy way of processing grief or experiencing grief look like?
Sure. So if I'm kind of working through the loss of a hope and dream, for example, maybe it's something that I've been kind of stuffing because I just want to move on. Oftentimes there's a very distinct difference when it comes to grief. It kind of feels, it's a little bit oftentimes held here, and it can feel pretty sharp, and it comes in waves, versus anxiety can kind of be ongoing and depression kind of be ongoing. Grief is more experienced in waves. What happens, the reason why we kind of get stuck is when that wave starts to come, we cut it off and we stuff it. So it's trying to help my clients allow themselves to ride that wave. And usually the waves, depending on where I am in the grief process, can be more intense than other times, especially in the beginning or if I've been stuffing it for a long time. It could feel really sharp and really painful. The irony, though, is our body and our brain struggle to manage that level of that pain and discomfort. So if I actually let myself ride a wave, it lasts anywhere between 5 or 15 minutes. And how you know you've kind of come down from it is usually there's a sense of fatigue and relief. And so it's kind of just helping them to see, can they notice those waves, those shifts that come through? Let themselves be angry in a healthy, safe way. Let themselves feel sad and, cry, even if it's the ugly cry. Find somewhere you feel comfortable enough to do that. Shower is a great place for that. Or, if you notice it in the car, maybe we should pull over. For some reason, that seems to be a trigger point for a lot of people, is that grief wave comes up when I'm finally alone in the car for 10 minutes. So it's like, why don't we, instead of flooring it and trying to get home, could we pull over? Or what are our options? Or can we make space in the evening if you notice it during the day? Thankfully, you can somewhat have a little bit more control over it than maybe anxiety and depression. But it's essentially slowing down and allowing time for those waves to happen. And the waves get less and less with time.
That's really good insight, that it's going to be a wave and that it's going to
Yeah.
last for a period of time.
Yeah. Our fear is that we're going to be stuck there forever. So that's why I usually tell them out loud. I'm like, you shouldn't be stuck there forever. If you're stuck there forever, then there's something else going on that we got to figure out.
That's a very good point. I love that. That's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift to some personal, if that's okay.
Sure. That's great.
Share with me one of the best compliments you've ever received.
The best compliments. I feel like I got healing because of my time here. And not necessarily because of me, just because their time being in a safe place and me having the opportunity to be a part of that made the difference in their life trajectory. And so I normally, even if they're like, I think today's my last day, I'm like, great, let's talk about why. And they're like, because I'm doing okay, I'm doing great. And I'm like, that's to me the best compliment. And to hear that someone's feeling well enough that they're like, I can do life now. And I'm like, that's the whole goal. And so for me, that's like the biggest reward that I feel like I could hear.
That's very rewarding. Amazing. Share with us, what is the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice. Well, I have to rewind the clock. One of the things that my professor, when I was doing my master's degree, he kind of smiled in front of the class and he said, your guys' job is to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And he just smiled. I think it's just being comfortable with being able to hold people's pain, which would be uncomfortable for most, right? So it is just learning and teaching yourself to be comfortable in the midst of pain. And that sounds very counterintuitive, but it helps create a level of safety to feel like, I know it's really painful, but I'm here with you and your pain isn't overwhelming.
You can hold that space for them and allow that to heal.
Yeah. So just that little jingle that he said years ago has stuck with me. Like, just be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I'm like, okay.
I love that. I love that. I use that phrase a lot as well. And I use it just to remind myself for growth, right? Because I Sometimes I just get too comfortable and I don't want to just do anything new. And right, I love how you use that for yourself.
Yes, it could be used in a lot of different areas.
How would your parents describe what you do for a living?
That's a good question. I'd probably say she talks to people all day or gets into people all day. I don't know if they would go any more specific than that.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I think I'm the only person who's in this profession in my family at this time.
Okay. Okay. So you'll just be known, oh, she talks to people all day.
She gets to talk to people all day, and I kind of joke with my kiddos that way. They're like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, "I get to go hang out with people today. It's great."
Yeah. Go help out and help them transform their life. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Wonderful. Well, Karissa, thank you so much. This was really enjoyable and very insightful. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
And would you mind sharing with us where people can find you if they want some
Yeah,
additional support?
sure. I've been doing private practice for a long time, and so it's been a long time coming. I'll be actually opening up a private practice here, hopefully May or June. It'll be called Made to Thrive Wellness.
I love that name.
Thank you. So the website will be madetothriveaz.com. It's not there. So if you type it in now, it won't be there, but it'll be up by June. The email that will be with me is just K Whitlatch. So that's my last name, K, and then Whitlatch, WHITLATCH, LLC at gmail.com. So that will be an easy way to get a hold of me for now. And then a phone number is 480-788-9816.
Awesome. And then we'll put that in the caption below. So if you didn't write that down, her information will be right there. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed, especially about the grief. That was
Right.
very uh, amazing. So thank you so
Of
much.
course.
Take care and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good.